Emma was not your average teenager. She stood out in ways that weren't always obvious at first glance, but those who took the time to know her quickly realized she was someone special. At 16, she was known for her kindness and her love of books. Emma could often be found with her nose buried in a novel, or lending a helping hand to anyone in need, whether it was a friend struggling with homework or a neighbor needing groceries carried home. She lived in a small town called Maplewood, where everyone knew each other. The streets were lined with old trees, and the air always seemed to carry the scent of fresh bread from the local bakery. It was the kind of place where news traveled fast and secrets were hard to keep. But one day, something happened that changed everything. The peaceful routine of Maplewood was shattered in an instant, and Emma found herself at the center of it all. It was a sunny afternoon, when Emma found herself in a situation she never imagined. The sunlight danced on the pavement, and laughter echoed from the park nearby, but a sudden shout cut through the calm. The town square was bustling with people when Emma noticed a commotion. Shoppers paused, and conversations stopped as everyone turned to see what was happening. A man was yelling at a young boy, and it was clear the boy was frightened. His voice was harsh, echoing off the brick walls, and the boy shrank back, eyes wide with fear. Emma felt a knot in her stomach. She could feel her hands trembling, and her heart pounded in her chest as she watched the scene unfold. She knew she had to do something. Even though fear threatened to hold her back, she couldn't ignore what was happening right in front of her. The man was much bigger than her, but she couldn't just stand by and watch. She realized that sometimes, doing the right thing meant stepping up even when it was scary. Her heart raced as she made her way through the crowd. Every step felt heavier than the last, but she pushed forward, determined not to let fear win. She remembered her grandmother's words. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Those words had always comforted her, but now they became her guiding light. Those words echoed in her mind as she approached the man. Each step brought her closer to the confrontation, and she could feel the eyes of the crowd on her. Emma took a deep breath and stepped in front of the boy. She stood tall, determined to protect him, even though she was scared herself. She looked the man in the eye and said, "Leave him alone." Her voice was steady, stronger than she felt inside, but she refused to back down. The boy looked at Emma with wide eyes, a glimmer of hope flickering in them. In that moment, Emma realized that sometimes one person's courage can make all the difference in the world. Maplewood was a quaint town surrounded by lush forests and rolling hills. The town was known for its serene beauty and close-knit community. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else, and strangers were a rare sight. The town square was the heart of the community. With its cobblestone paths and charming shops, it was a place where people gathered to share stories, buy fresh produce, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. On that day, the square was alive with laughter and chatter. Families strolled through the market, children played near the fountain, and friends caught up over coffee. The conflict began when the man, a stranger to the town, accused the boy of stealing. His voice cut through the cheerful atmosphere like a knife, drawing everyone's attention. The boy, Alex, was known to everyone as a good kid. He was always willing to lend a hand and had a smile that could brighten anyone's day. He often helped at the bakery and was always polite. The townspeople trusted him and knew he had a good heart. Emma had seen him around many times. She had watched him grow up and knew his character well, and knew he wouldn't do such a thing. She was certain that Alex was innocent, but the man was relentless, his voice booming as he demanded the boy confess. His accusations grew louder and more aggressive. The crowd watched, unsure of what to do. Some whispered among themselves, speculating about the truth of the matter, while others looked on with concern. The tension in the air was palpable, and it seemed like the whole town was holding its breath. The man's anger was palpable, and it made the air feel heavy. The cheerful atmosphere of the square had turned into one of unease and discomfort. Emma felt the weight of the situation pressing down on her, but she couldn't ignore the injustice. She knew she had to do something to help Alex. The boy needed someone to stand up for him, and Emma was determined to be that person. She couldn't let an innocent boy be wrongfully accused. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next. Emma knew that standing up for Alex was the right thing to do, no matter the consequences. As Emma stood in front of the man, her heart raced and her palms grew clammy. The room seemed to shrink around her, the air thick with tension. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders, making it hard to breathe. Inside, a whirlwind of emotions swirled within her, each one vying for her attention. She felt as if she was standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether to leap or retreat. Fear, doubt, and determination battled for dominance, their voices echoing in her mind. She wondered if she was truly ready for what lay ahead. She was scared, no doubt about it. The fear was sharp and real, making her want to shrink away and disappear. The man was intimidating, towering over her with a stern expression. She was just a teenage girl, feeling small and vulnerable in his shadow, but she couldn't let that stop her. Emma took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves and gather her courage. She had to be brave, not just for herself, but for Alex too. The thought of her friend gave her strength she didn't know she had. Emma thought about the stories she had read, tales of heroes and heroines who faced great challenges and overcame them, even when they were afraid. She had always admired their courage and wondered if she could be like them. Now she realized she was living her own story. Now, faced with her own challenge, she realized this was her moment to step up, to become the kind of person she had always looked up to. She wanted to prove to herself that she could be strong, that she could stand her ground even when it was hard. Doubt crept in, whispering that she might fail, that she wasn't enough. The uncertainty gnawed at her, making her question everything, but Emma shook those thoughts away, refusing to let them take root. She straightened her back and lifted her chin, determined to try. She remembered her grandmother's words and clung to them like a lifeline. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she spoke up, her voice cutting through the silence. Every word felt like a leap of faith. Her voice was firm, even though her hands trembled. She was surprised by her own strength, realizing she was braver than she thought. She was scared, but she was also filled with a sense of purpose. In that moment, Emma understood that true courage meant moving forward, even when every part of her wanted to run away. The moment Emma spoke, time seemed to slow down. The man looked at her, his expression a mix of surprise and anger. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone so young. But Emma stood her ground, her eyes locked on his. The man took a step forward, his voice rising as he demanded Emma step aside. But she didn't budge. Her heart was racing, but she kept her voice steady. "He didn't do anything wrong," she said, her words clear and unwavering. The crowd watched in silence, the tension palpable. Emma's courage seemed to spark something in the boy. Alex straightened his shoulders, emboldened by her bravery. "I didn't steal anything," he said, looking the man in the eye. Emma felt a surge of pride and relief. Together, they stood united against the man's accusations. The man hesitated, clearly taken aback by their defiance. He glanced around, realizing the crowd was no longer just watching, they were judging. The man's bluster faltered, and he took a step back. As the confrontation ended, the crowd began to react. Some people clapped, their applause ringing through the square. Others murmured words of support and admiration for Emma's bravery. It was clear her actions had made an impression. However, not everyone was supportive. A few people whispered among themselves, questioning Emma's decision to get involved. They wondered if she had acted recklessly, putting herself in danger. Emma heard snippets of their conversations, and doubt crept back in. But then, a woman stepped forward, her eyes filled with gratitude. She was Alex's mother, and she thanked Emma for standing up for her son. Her words were filled with emotion, and Emma felt a sense of validation. Emma's friends gathered around her, their faces filled with admiration. She realized her actions had set an example, and she hoped it would inspire others. In the days following the confrontation, Emma's life changed in unexpected ways. She became somewhat of a local hero, her story spreading throughout the town. People she didn't even know would stop her on the street to thank her or share their own stories. Emma found herself being invited to speak at school assemblies and community events. She was nervous at first, but soon discovered she enjoyed sharing her story. She wanted to encourage others to be brave and to stand up for what they believed in. Her relationship with Alex also grew stronger. The two became friends, bonded by the experience they had shared. Together, they inspired others in their community to stand up against injustice. Emma's newfound confidence spilled over into other areas of her life. She realized she was stronger than she had ever imagined. The confrontation in the town square had a ripple effect throughout Maplewood. People began to talk more openly about standing up for what was right. Emma's actions had sparked a change, and it was a change for the better. Schools in the area started to introduce programs focused on teaching students about courage and standing up against bullying. Emma was often invited to speak at these programs, sharing her story and encouraging students to be brave. The local newspaper ran an article about the incident, highlighting the importance of standing up for others. Emma's story had become a symbol of hope and courage. Her actions inspired other towns to take similar steps in promoting courage and empathy. It was a reminder that one person's actions could make a significant impact. Emma's journey didn't end with the confrontation. She discovered a newfound sense of confidence and self-worth. She realized she had the power to make a difference, and that fueled her desire to continue advocating for justice. Emma started volunteering at local organizations and participating in community service projects. Her actions inspired her friends to join her, and together they made a positive impact on their town. Emma also took the time to reflect on her experiences and what she had learned. She kept a journal, writing down her thoughts and feelings. She realized that courage wasn't just about big dramatic actions, it was also about the small, everyday choices. As Emma continued to grow, she remained humble and grounded. She knew she still had much to learn, but she was excited about the journey ahead. She was grateful for the support of her family and friends. Emma's story is a testament to the power of courage and standing up for what is right. Her actions in the town square not only changed her life, but also had a lasting impact on her community. She showed that even in the face of fear, one person can make a difference. Through her journey, Emma learned valuable lessons about bravery, empathy, and the importance of taking a stand. Her story inspired others to find their own courage and to stand up against injustice. Emma's experience also highlighted the importance of community support. In the end, Emma's story is one of hope and inspiration. It reminds us that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how small we may feel.